even neo-colonialism. The U.S. empire is trying to impose its hegemony in the entire Western Hemisphere, and especially in Latin America. And Trump is very clear that he wants to steal the natural resources of countries in the region so U.S. corporations can exploit those resources and make lots and lots of money.
Venezuela. How about we're buying oil from Venezuela? When I left, Venezuela was ready to collapse. We would have taken it over. We would have gotten all that oil. It would have been right next door.
And in these flagrant attacks on the sovereignty of Latin America, Trump has three main goals. One, he wants to exploit the natural resources of the region, including oil and natural gas and gold and other minerals and agriculture and water. With climate change, water is going to become more and more important. So Trump wants U.S. corporations to take over those natural resources so his billionaire friends can profit. That's the first goal. Number two is the Trump administration wants to prevent all governments in the region from having close ties with China and also Russia and Iran, but especially China. China has become the #1 trading partner of South America, so Trump is desperate to cut off China in this new Cold War that the U.S. is waging. And then finally, the third goal, which is related to the first two, of course, is to remove all left-wing governments in the region. And right now, it just so happens that the majority of the governments in the region are led by left-wing leaders. And Trump wants to have more right-wing leaders in the region who will obediently serve U.S. interests, like Javier Milei in Argentina, like Daniel Noboa in Ecuador, like Nayib Bukele in El Salvador. And it's not a coincidence that these are the closest U.S. allies in the region. And just like in the first Cold War, Latin America was dominated by right-wing dictatorships. The vast majority of countries were not democracies. They were US-backed puppet dictatorships. And essentially, this is what the US empire wants to go back to today. Going to physically expand the territory of the US empire, and in particular, he wants to colonize parts of Latin America.
The United States has the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we may be a very substantially enlarged country in the not too distant. Isn't it nice to see, for years, for decades, we're the same size to the square foot. Probably got smaller, actually. But we might be an enlarged country pretty soon. And one of the things we're going to be doing is drill, baby, drill. And above all, China is operating the Panama Canal, and we didn't give it to China, we gave it to Panama, and we're taking it back. The United States will once again consider itself a growing nation, one that increases our wealth, expands our territory, builds our cities, raises our expectations, and carries our flag into new and beautiful
Out of the fact that he's a colonialist. Now, all U.S. presidents are war criminals and imperialists. This is not new. This is true for both Republicans and Democrats. But as I often repeat, the difference with Trump is he doesn't hide it. He doesn't use this propaganda rhetoric about democracy and human rights. He says the quiet part loud. Trump has taken the mask off of the U.S. empire and shown its true ugly face, which is one based on war, exploitation, and imperialism. This is why he renamed the so-called Department of Defense the Department of War. He's proud of the fact that he's a warmongering imperialist. So again, to conclude, if you want to understand what Trump is actually doing in Latin America